call the meeting to order, and I'll ask our clerk, Georgia, to call the roll.
Absolutely. Counselor Gonzalez.
President, good morning.
Good morning. Counselor Lewis.
Present.
Counselor Rosenthal.
Present.
Counselor Nolan.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Counselor Simpson.
Present. Good morning.
And Council President Peterson is excused today, and Deputy Council President Wong.
Present. Okay, before we begin our agenda items, can we please play the safety video for our in-person attendees?
I'm Jason, and I'm an event production manager. Here at the Portland 5 Centers for the Arts, safety is our #1 priority, not only for our guests, but for our staff members. I'm at the Portland 5 Centers for the Arts, and you're at the Metro Regional Center. The council chambers are located on the 3rd floor. In the event of a fire or fire alarm, please exit through the door in the northeast corner of the room. Go down the stairway to the 2nd floor, exit through the main entrance by the reception desk, and gather in the courtyard outside that entrance. In the event of a medical or fire emergency, please call 911 and notify the security agent at the reception desk. The nearest defibrillator is mounted on the steps leading from the reception desk down to Grand Avenue. Thank you, and come visit us at Portland 5.
Okay, thank you. We'll now open our public communications on non-agenda items. Georgia, can you please describe to the audience our procedures for the public communication portion of the meeting?
If anyone wishes to testify on non-agenda items, now is the time to do so. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. I will manage a timer to go off at the 3-minute mark. If you have not already signed up to speak, you can do so now. If you are joining us on Zoom, you can sign up to testify by raising your hand on Zoom. Depending on your version of Zoom, the raise hand function has its own tab or is located within the reactions tab. Those calling in can raise their hands by dialing *9. If you are joining us in person, you can sign up by filling out one of the blue cards in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. For those joining us on Zoom, I will promote you to a full panelist when it is your turn to testify. I will call on your name or phone number when it is your turn to testify, and a window will appear asking you to accept being promoted to a panelist. Once you click accept, your Zoom window will close for just a brief moment before you rejoin as a panelist, where you will be able to turn on your camera if you like. As a reminder, you do not need to give your physical address. However, please introduce yourself for the record before testifying. And Deputy Council President Wong, we do have one person who signed up to testify in advance, Art Llewellyn. Yes, you can come up and speak, and your time will start when you begin speaking.
Good morning. Kamala Harris is going to be the next president. Trust me.
All right, thank you.
Keep that in mind over the weekend as you're fretting. I have submitted an essay the last time I was here, and I was wondering if any of you actually read the essay. It's based on the principle I had a cover like that. Did any of you get to read the essay? Well, that's why I submitted it. I wanted you to read it. So I'll leave it again. And the last time I was here, I left a couple of items to put with it. Part of the essay that wasn't included from years ago, actually. And these two documents, I think this is ODOT work from about 2016 or 17 or so. The Rose Quarter Project, that's what we're looking at. And this document here also on the Rose Quarter. So, more ODOT work here. And if I thought the project was worth doing, I would explain why I thought it was good about it. But I don't. I don't even believe that I-5 in that stretch between Fremont and LA-4 axles isn't even a bottleneck. Now, it's more of a release button in the way I see it. And I've been coming to Metro and City Councils since the 1990s. So I've done studies on the Columbia River Crossing Bridge. And I was glad that it was closed down in 2013 because I just had to go back to the drawing board, and there was serious flux, especially with public safety here in the Rose Quarter, the Columbia River Crossing project, which I support it happening, but not as proposed. I think you made some progress in years since, but it's not ready. And this design for the Rose Quarter here, where the southbound exit is relocated from where it goes uphill to Broadway, it has to stay there. It has to. It shows how you go underneath this cap of the Broadway and Water, and then it's a hairpin turn. And motorists who do Portland, bear with me. I'm going to hit that blind turn because vehicles stop there, can't be seen. While you're going by, while traffic is moving faster than it does now. Suddenly they've got to pull on the brakes, or they will rear end clash. I think it'll happen often. So that has to be stricken from the plan. Period. I do like the idea of the raised route to go eastbound. That I can support. Let me wrap it up.
Can you wrap it up?
Read my essay, have a look at the two, the before and the after designs for the Rose Quarter. Do some more work on Columbia River Crossing project. I'd like if they do a private, meeting where I could really explain why I can't get behind it. If there was, I think I can solve it. The parts of both those two projects. And lastly, I had to oppose the Southwest Corridor Max project for the same reasons. Bad engineers.
Okay. Thank you for your engagement.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
No, that is it for today.
Okay, great. We'll move on to our resolutions. So this afternoon we're considering a single resolution. And it's item 6.1, resolution number 24-5438, for the purpose of establishing a work group to evaluate the operating model of P5. Our work session last week included a conversation with Metro staff about our intergovernmental agreement with the City of Portland that governs operations at 5 city-owned regional arts venues known as the Portland 5 Centers for the Arts. The resolution we are considering today would acknowledge Metro's desire to convene a performing arts venue work group to consider short-term opportunities and challenges, as well as to identify significant conditions that require renegotiating the IGA to improve its governance structure, long-term planning, maintenance of facilities, and support for regional arts and culture organizations. I also want to add that the Metropolitan Exposition Recreation Commission, I just want to thank them for their commitment to arts and culture and their oversight of P5. So here today to present the resolution are Craig Stroud, the General Manager of Visitor Venues, and Brian Wilson, the Interim Director of the P5. Welcome.
Well, good morning, Deputy Council President Wong, councilors, staff, and handful of visitors. Happy Halloween on this blustery fall day. It's nice to be back with you a week from last week's work session. Again, I'm Craig Stroud, and I serve as Metro's interim general manager of visitor venues, and I'm joined with Brian Wilson, interim executive director of Portland 5. Brian and I are going to provide a short overview of the work session materials from last week, and then again offer you the opportunity to provide us direction on the resolution before you. Next slide, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. As you may recall, in 1989, Metro entered into a consolidation agreement with the City of Portland to operate and maintain the 5 theaters known as Portland 5 Centers for the Arts. The facilities are essential to the work of resident and featured art organizations, as well as many other nonprofit and for-other profit users. Next slide, please. A 2022 audit of the Portland 5 intergovernmental agreements by the Metro Auditor highlighted issues, including the following. Government structures were difficult to navigate. a need for a shared understanding between the IGA parties regarding the physical condition and maintenance of Portland 5 theaters, as well as an absence of a clear funding plan for maintenance, support for the arts organizations, and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Next slide. I think we're off on a slide.
Next slide, please.
Yep.
There we are. Thank you. The Metropolitan Exposition and Recreation Commission has sought to engage the city for many years through Metro staff on dependencies, responsibilities, and challenges with the operating capital and funding models of the intergovernmental agreement. Metro leadership is encouraged the city is now seeking to engage on these long-standing issues and to support the arts organizations, patrons, and very importantly, the hundreds of staff who work at these facilities. This slide summarizes Council's direction to staff from the draft resolution in front of you. The actions include collaborate with the city to convene a performing arts work group, including representatives from the arts and culture community, users, visitors, and labor partners to look specifically at city-owned arts facilities. The work group will consider opportunities and challenges to operations, maintenance, and long-term planning to align with regional goals for economic development and cultural enrichment. And lastly, present recommendations by the end of this fiscal year, June 30, 2025, to address short-term opportunities and challenges, as well as significant conditions that would require renegotiating the intergovernmental agreements. The scope of the work group's charge is both broad and deep, and we believe the timeline is aggressive. That said, there is a momentum on the Keller project, and this complementary work needs to move with haste to address current issues and concerns. And of note, this afternoon, the City of Portland will also hear a city resolution that mirrors ours, so that both the city and Metro are moving forward together on this approach. Next slide, please. This slide represents the values and outcome priorities that staff have received both from the MERC Commission and Metro Council in regards to managing the P5 venues. Should you approve today's resolution, these will be the values and priorities we will advocate for as we engage with the city and the work group stakeholders in future conversations. Next slide. Just to ensure you know the policy options we've identified, they're summarized in this slide. More or less, we have maintain status quo, or the resolution before you to engage a work group, or you could direct us to immediately enter into IGA renegotiations. And finally, you could immediately notice that Metro intends to dissolve the IGA, and 18 months from that notice, the city would take back operations. So those are the options before you, although we're recommending the resolution to engage in a work group. Next slide. So with that, Brian and I look forward to your questions and direction. Deputy Council President Wong, I'm passing back to you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we'll move on to questions. Colleagues. Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
All right. Also move.
I second.
Okay, well, it is moved by Councilor Rosenthal and seconded by Councilor Lewis. Is there further discussion? Oh, yes, Councilor Rosenthal.
I'm sorry, I was trying to put my hand up, but I didn't get the screen wide. Yeah, just 2 points I guess I want to make. I reviewed the original draft resolution, and there's been a few changes made. One of the concerns I had initially was that it was a little unclear to me as to what the role of the MERC would be in this whole process. This resolution, as I think modified, clarifies that reporting will be to MERC, and I think that that's an improvement. There's still the question that I suppose will be resolved, just through discussions and so forth, is whether MERC will be directly involved in any sense in the work group itself, but that does not have to be resolved in this resolution. So that's one thing. And then when I read the original resolution, I was concerned that it was a little unclear as to what was going to be reported at the end of 2025, and I think it's been clarified that there's going to be recommendations regarding short-term fixes, which may happen within the context of the IGA, as well as potential long-term fixes or intermediate fixes to address some of the structural problems. And so I think that's really, those have been addressed, and I think the resolution reads a little bit better for it. I still have some technical issues and wording issues with the whereases, but I'm not gonna. Those are not critical to the overall issue.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Lewis.
Sure, thank you so much. We had some of this discussion last week, but I want to again thank staff, particularly navigating the interruptions that they're in, but also the long-seated conversation here to bring this forward. These tensions are not new. They are not just coming out of COVID and shutdowns. They are structural, as the 2022 audit pointed out. You know, the whereas clause uses some formal language, but to sum it up, City of Portland's gotten a stinking good deal, and Metro has experienced a lot of loss. So I do look forward to this conversation where we can bring to light all that we have done to keep these venues not only as buildings but as cultural centers alive, moving, and shaking, despite multitudinous things coming up against us. So I do want to underscore the need to not only think about the potential future state with the Keller and what we're going to do about a grand hall, but a lot of what Portland does is show up for our small community theaters. So that means making sure that the model works for the Bruni, the Winning, the Newmark, and other, 1,000 member audiences and less. And right now we have a model that does sort of work for them. And I don't want to take the eye off of the balance between big and small. We have to have the entire ecosystem, and we have to have it downtown. So with that, I would just add enthusiastic support for the process that got us this resolution. Y'all moved really quickly when we heard that the city was interested in this exact political moment. Now is the right time. So thank you.
Thank you. And just for the audience, can you just outline kind of the next steps if a resolution were to pass in terms of timeline and selection process and all that?
Sure. Deputy Council President Wong, we have yet to engage the city staff on that planning process, but the items that you identified, who's going to be members of the work group, how's that going to interact with the government's bodies of MERC and Metro Council, and the city's going to have to decide it on their side. We're told that the city would like to bring a facilitator / subject matter expert consultant to the table, so that process has to run, and then the communications and decision making. So there's much planning work to be done. Some of it's very complex, and I'm sorry I don't have the answers today, but we will get the answers, and we will create a plan that's both robust and communicative so that we can get the outcomes that we're desiring.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rosenthal, do you have an additional
Yeah, I just
comment?
wanted to make one other comment. The resolution is fine going forward. One of the things that you read it and you sort of think that the primary reason is for economic development, and although that is important and it's not gainsaid, we also have to realize that culturally, what P5 and the kinds of nonprofit and other kinds of art supports that provide a very strong context, both in the city as well as regionally throughout the region. And that these things are very important, such as the children's theater and performing for the small venues that may not be highly profit generating and may not draw in people from outside of the area, but it's an important context, and we can't forget that.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll see no further discussion. Georgia, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Counselor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Counselor Nolan.
Yes.
Counselor Rosenthal.
Yes.
Counselor Lewis.
Aye.
Counselor Simpson.
Aye.
And Deputy Council President Wong.
Aye. Great, thank you. And the motion passes. Best of luck in the process. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is Chief Operating Officer Communications.
Thank you, Deputy Council President Wong. Happy Halloween to everyone who celebrates. Just a quick update for you today. Our Human Resources Department has arranged for a free vaccination clinic at OCC tomorrow. It's Oregon Convention Center, November 1st from 12 to 2 p.m. Flu vaccines will be covered for all Metro employees and staff with Regions policies. Staff with Regions policies may have additional options. You're welcome to sign up and bring any dependents covered under your Metro insurance policy, since
Portland Public Schools is closed this Friday. If you're interested in receiving your flu vaccine, you can sign up until 6 p.m. today using the link in the email sent out on Tuesday from HR Benefits Help, or you can email benefits.help@Oregon Metro for assistance with signing up. A few other housekeeping items. I just want to remind all the witches, warlocks, and magical creatures of Metro that the first floor garage parking is for bicycles only. All brooms, broomsticks, Roombas, or other magically powered propulsion devices are strictly prohibited. Many of you have understandably been concerned about what Metro is doing to prevent headless horsemen from terrorizing our region, so I am happy to report that the Oregon Zoo had a successful squishing of the squash, doing their part to minimize the misuse of jack-o'-lanterns for nefarious purposes. Thanks to our Oregon Zoo for keeping us safe together for wildlife, but not the undead. And a reminder to all those in the office today, please, please, please don't leave your cauldrons unattended. Nobody likes the smell of burnt popcorn and bones wafting through the building. So, thank you. For those of you trick-or-treating tonight, stay safe, have fun, and hopefully the rain will give us a little break this evening. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Councilor Communications. Let's go with Councilor Simpson and Lewis.
Thank you, Deputy President Wong. Just want to report back. Well, first of all, I've been away for a while, so welcome back, me. But then
Welcome back.
Tuesday, I was at the Travel Portland Board Retreat, and we got an opportunity to talk about what the vision is for travel and tourism in our region, but then also extending a heartfelt goodbye to Jeff Miller. He's stepping down in a wave as executive director as they look for their new leadership there. So we should hear something here in the coming weeks about that, and they will be coming to talk to all of us, this new person. So that's kind of the charge. So just wanted to share that and the importance. I'm glad we had this conversation today because it's all about like making sure our region is prepared to accept folks to come in and enjoy what we get to enjoy on an everyday basis. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Councilor Lewis.
Sure, thank you. Colleagues, I want to report back that we just held the third meeting of the Vision 43 working group, looking at Highway 43 that goes all the way from, Portland down into Oregon City, with the focus being on Westland improvements. The working group is making significant progress. They've done stakeholder engagement, including a first of its kind in Westland renters only workshop. And really proud of the work that they're doing to make sure that the surveys that go out get responses pretty representative of the community. So that work is plodding forward. And again, this is not just about the road. This is about land use, potentially upzoning, and doing an entire corridor vision. Nothing's off the table in terms of what tools the city has for development.
Thank you. Councilor Rosenthal.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Just a quick report. On Tuesday, President Peterson and head of WPES, Marta McGuire, and myself attended a council session for the city of Sherwood. As you know, Sherwood has not always been entirely happy with Metro's operations, but it was a very cordial meeting. President Peterson made a strong pitch for regionalism and listening to all the voices of all the small cities. She may even have made a commitment to visit all the small cities over the next 2 years. I'm not sure. I'm not going to hold her to it, but it's not a bad idea. At any rate, the city was very welcoming and very supportive and very positive about the kinds of coordination and transparency that they have received both on the solid waste facilities plan as well as on other issues, land use planning and so forth. So it was a very positive meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll sing no further discussion. The council meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 7th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m.